talk about what some of the companies say are rare coins and what are actually rare coins.
Sure. Yeah. There's kind of a misnomer out there where there's these mints, usually the Royal Canadian Mint, that makes these kind of odd coins like polar bear coins or Arctic monkey coins, and they make them in limited amounts, and they sell them as these very rare special coins, when in fact they're not special or rare at all. If we're talking about real numismatic coins, real coins that hold their value over time, we're talking about the older pre-1933 gold coins. This is a perfect example right here. The old $20 bills, the old $10 bills, right? 100 years ago, they weren't paper money. It was a half ounce of gold was a $10 bill, and just under a 1 ounce gold coin was a $20 bill. So those are the real numismatic coins that investors should be focusing on, not the newly minted bullion coins that they make nowadays.
Yeah, and they typically will sell, they'll be like a strange size.
Yes,
right? It'll be like 1.5 ounce of silver, quarter ounce of silver, sizes that aren't normal.
Yes.
And these are the coins that you do want to be careful of. Now, even buying numismatics, like what we're going to talk about today, this also you want to be careful, because there are stuff that's out there that just doesn't really have much value or that much desire to it. But then you hear about things that actually have rarity. But yeah, let's just go through. We have a few things here that we got, and then we'll talk about this coin collection, this $100 million coin collection. So I just pulled out a few things that we've sold and we've had, and what we got here is, this is a cool story. This is the Carson City Morgan dollar, and tell us about Josh. Tell us about how this kind of came about. This coin, for investors.
This is a really cool story, real cool piece of American history here. So the Carson City Mint was only making coins for a few years, and most of the coins that they made were never actually put into circulation. So they sat in big bags, big coin bags in the vault at the mint. And when they shut the mint down and they stopped using these silver coins as money, they had a huge hoard of them, and they decided to sell them to the public. This was back in the early 70s. And they were basically an ad in the back of a newspaper where the mint was selling these directly to the public.
And these coins were 100 years.
Yes.
80, 90-year-old coins.
That's
right?
exactly
and
right.
So basically what happened was, in the early 70s, they realized that they still had this silver that they didn't know about.
Yes.
And it never made it out of the vaults.
That's correct.
And so they decided to put them in these, grade them and put them in these unbelievable cases. So they're in unbelievable condition. And they come with a certificate of authenticity. And it actually has a quote from Nixon on the top here. And these we have available.
Yes, absolutely.
And very desirable. And you were saying, how much were these, like 10 years ago?
Yeah. I mean, when I started here almost 10 years ago, they were $100, maybe $200 each. And now we're looking at $400, maybe $500, depending on the year, depending on the grade.
So it's a cool piece of history. And the Carson City Mint, and this time period when these coins came back, this was like the Wild Wild West, right? I mean, this was like every Western movie. So it's like owning a piece of history, but it's in unbelievable condition, which is important. Condition matters when you're buying rare coins. So this is a really cool. So I would say this is kind of a starter, like place for silver for someone to get into. And this is a very popular, Morgan dollar is a very popular coin.
Absolutely. One of my favorites, one of the best designs I think we've ever made.
Yeah. So this is something that's available for people, is the Morgan dollar here. So we have that. And then let's go to some of the gold coins that you have there.
Yes. Yeah. So these are very neat as well. So as I was referring to earlier, the old $20, 100 years ago, if you had a $20 bill, it wasn't a $20 bill. It was a 1 ounce gold coin. Okay. That says $20 on it. And part of the reason why people started using paper money, right, is because they got people to use certificates that were redeemable in gold. So 100 years ago, I could have a gold certificate that I would bring into any bank, and the bank would hand me one of these, right? And that's how they kept everybody honest. And the price of gold didn't fluctuate. It didn't go up from, it was pegged at $20 an ounce from 1776 to 1933. It was the exact same amount per ounce. So we made these gold coins for the entire duration of that time. And a lot of them were melted down and maybe or maybe not put into Fort Knox, right? Nobody really knows. But the Patriots at the time held on to these, right? I mean, real Americans held on to their gold coins because they knew exactly what was going to happen once the government took them away, right? The prices were going to skyrocket.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that's what we're going to talk about a little bit later with the person who had the gold hoard that's been collecting gold coins since World War I.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating. And to further what Josh was saying about if we have gold in Fort Knox, if you've watched this before, we've talked about this on this show, that the gold that is in Fort Knox is actually, it's 90% gold. And the reason it's 90% gold is because a lot of it came, well, we think a lot of it came from these gold coins, which were about 90% gold.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Whereas in today's, modern bullion coins, everything is typically 24 karat, 0.999. So
Yes.
the gold that's in Fort Knox, if there is gold, which they still haven't done an audit, which has been interesting because they said they were going to do it, and we haven't heard anything.
Been awful quiet.
The gold that they supposedly have is about 10% less than what's currently traded on the market. So that's something that people should be aware of when they're looking at those things. The great thing about these, numismatic, these gold coins, these St. Gaudens coins, is that it's a great way to own a piece of history. And when I started getting into the gold market, learning about this, what I realized is that there's so many hobbies that you lose money.
Yeah.
Right. There's so many. Look at watches, look at, all these shoe collections that people are selling. I've seen whiskey,
baseball cards.
I mean, there's all these things. And when I started going to the shows, you talk to these people that have been collecting for years and years, and they just say like, I'm collecting. Yes, I love these old coins and I love these stories. But these are things that when I hand to my kids or my grandkids, they've gone up in value, right? And so there's always gold content. There's always silver content. So as long as gold and silver continue to go up, these things will go up. So it is something nice to have a hobby or collect some pieces of history that actually will go up over time. Now, if you overpay or if you get the right, it could take you a little bit longer. So we can't guarantee any returns. But the stuff that we focus on, like that coin right there, Josh, the one that you're holding up.
Yes.
I mean, these coins are not that, far off from the gold price in the market right now. So you can get 100-year-old coin, more than 100-year-old coin, for pretty close to the same price as a bullion coin.
That's exactly right. And that's kind of what's really, a trigger for me, right? When I'm looking at what I'm going to purchase every month. 8 years ago when I started, these coins carried almost a double premium over the generic 1 ounce gold coins. And with the price of gold almost tripling in that time, we've seen the premiums on these coins come down significantly. I mean, this coin that is in an MS63 condition, which is mint state. So it essentially looks like it's uncirculated, it hasn't been used, and it's a coin from the early 1900s or late 1800s. Which is really fascinating. You can buy a coin that's 100 years old that was supposed to be melted down and put into Fort Knox for $100, maybe $200 more than just a generic 1 ounce American gold eagle that they make millions of every year.
Yeah, and in the years that I've been selling gold, what I've found is that a lot of people will focus and get their bullion set up and get their weight in bullion, and then they want to get some things either that are more interesting or they want to get some things for their grandkids. And so I can't even tell you how many times that I've sold that MS63, 64 St. Gaudens, and they've bought, the clients bought 4 or 5 for their grandkids, and they've set up a little bit of a gold hoard for their grandkids.
Yes.
And they love when they get it and they can talk to them about, hey, this coin was in circulation, that people use this coin to buy goods. And then it's really a good conversation to have with them about inflation, which I talk to about my kids all the time. I've been talking to them about it since they were, 5 years old, because I want them to understand the value of money. And when you look at these gold coins that were used in circulation over 100 years ago, and you can tell them a story that gold coin that's $20 you could go out to dinner with your family, that you could buy groceries, that you could do all of these things with $20 and maybe have a little change left over, their mind is blown, because nowadays they go and we go to the restaurant and it costs $150 to go to dinner as a family. And they're like, 100 years ago, $20, you could buy all those things. So it's a great conversation piece. And I've really used it a lot with my kids. And obviously they're going to go up over time. But the reason we're here today is when you have a historic gold hoard, $100 million coin collection. I mean, how exciting is this? And the foresight for this gentleman to start collecting 15,000 coins.
Unbelievable.
That he started collecting right after 1929?
Yeah, right after World War I. I mean, it's pretty remarkable.
Right before they started confiscating gold in 1933.
Right. That's exactly right.
He saw that, hey, you know what? I'm not going to turn my gold in. No. I'm going to keep it. And he started building this collection, this unbelievable collection. And I mean, great timing to release it now.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's I don't think it's by accident here. We're seeing gold, hitting all-time highs almost every day. And then this gentleman comes out with a huge, I mean, there's a lot of talk about gold and silver now. It's in the news now, right? It was kind of in a silent bull market here for the last 6 months. You didn't hear a lot about it, while gold's gone up $600 or $800 in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
So we're starting to see it